Welcome to the second part of the myTasks project. What I'd like to do now, we have our registration and login system down. So what I'd like to do now is add a little bit of info in the list and task tables and have them display here when we're logged in. So right now they're empty, so I'm going to go into PHPMyAdmin and I'm just going to add some info manually. So I'll create a list. I'll go to list and then I'll go to insert, and we'll give this list the name of work stuff, and the body will say this list is for work related stuff. The user is me, so it's going to be Brad T. Current timestamp. Let's create another list. We'll say kids. This list is for kids and family activities. So we'll just say kids and family. All right. So I'm going to click go. I think it's this go. So now if we go to lists, you can see we have these two lists. All right. So work stuff is ID 1, kids and family is ID 2. So now we want to create some tasks. So we'll go to tasks and insert. We'll create a task. Let's say pick up daughter from dance class. Actually, that should actually be the body. We'll just say pick up daughter, and that's going to be the kids and family list, which I think was list 2. Due date, we'll just say today. The current timestamp is going to get inserted, and is complete is going to have a 0 value. Actually create another one. Let's say pick up son, and we'll say pick up son from soccer practice. That's also part of list 2. The due date will set to today. Alright, so let's insert 2 more into the work. So let's say we'll say give presentation, present our new product to a company. So that list would be 1. And we'll do that on Friday the 13th. Probably not a good day to give a presentation, but hey. So one more, we'll say we'll say client consult. Say Monday. Alright, so now we have some information in our database that we can actually display. So if we go to our, remember this is the welcome page, so that's where we want this. If we go to welcome PHP, right now all we have is some static HTML. So I'm going to go to the final welcome page. And I'm just going to copy all this. So let's go through this. We have our heading. We're checking to see if we're logged in. Now this is what we're going to use to tell if we're logged in through the whole application. If session logged in. So if we are logged in, we're going to instantiate a database object, and that's just, we're creating a new database object from the database class. And we don't have to include database.php because remember that's included here in index.php. Okay, this is here, and welcome.php is being loaded right here. So it's being loaded into index.php. That way we don't have to include database on any of these files. It's already included. Now we're just going to run our query, which is a pretty easy query. We're selecting all from lists where the list user, and then we have a placeholder, and then we bind the placeholder to this variable list user, and that's equal to the session username, so that's equal to the person that's logged in. So we're only going to see lists from the person that's logged in, and we're going to get a result set and put it into the rows variable, and we're going to have an H4 that just says this is here are your current lists, and we're going to for each loop through the rows or through the lists and echo out the actual list, which will be in list name, and we're going to have it linked to an ID, a link to the list page, and ID will be the list ID. So this list ID is coming from the database ID right here. Alright, so that's pretty much what welcome does. Alright, and if we're not logged in, it just echoes out a paragraph. So if we save that, reload. Okay, so we're not logged in. So I'll log in. Now you can see we have work stuff and kids and family. Now if I click on this, it takes us to a blank page, and that's because right now we're on list.php. You can tell because page equals list, and there's nothing there. So we can open that. If we go to pages, list.php, let's say hello, we save that, and we get hello. Now the way that we tell which list we want to see is with this ID, and we can get that very easily. We say php echo get ID, and we reload, we get 1. Okay, if we go back to the home page and we click on kids and family, we know that that is list number 2. Alright, so that's how we're going to separate, that's how we're going to know which actual list we're looking at. So I'm going to go into I'm going to get rid of this and go into the final version of list. And I would love to type all this out and explain it better, but we just don't have the time. So I'm going to copy this, and it gets tedious anyway. Alright, so what we're doing is we're assigning a variable list ID from get ID, which I just showed you, which comes from the URL. Alright, so then we're instantiating a new database object, and we're going to select all from lists where ID equals list ID. Alright, so this right here, that's how we're going to query it, and that comes from the URL. So after we bind it, we're going to call a row, and we're going to get a single field. Okay, so we do this database single because we only want one row here. We only want the row with the ID, in this case of 2. And we're just going to echo out the list name, the list body, and we're going to have an edit list link and a delete list link. The edit list link is going to go to page edit list, and the delete list will go to page delete list, which we'll create in a minute. Alright, so down here we're instantiating a new database object, and we're saying select all from tasks where list ID is equal to list ID. Okay, so we're getting the tasks of the list this time, and we're saying we want the ones where is complete, is equal to 0, because if they're complete, we don't want them to show. And then we're getting the result set, and then we're looping through the tasks. So for each rows as task, and then we're going to show each task with a link to the task. Alright, and if there are no tasks, it's going to say no tasks for this list, create one now. So let's save that, and let's reload this page. So now we get all that information. We get our tasks, pick up daughter, pick up son. If we go to the home and we go to work stuff, we get give presentation, client consult. And if I click this, this is going to go to our task page, page equals task, but there's nothing in it. So again, I'm going to go ahead and copy it. Let's open up our task. Let me just clear these out for now. So let's open up our task file, which is blank, and then the final task file. Whoop. So I'm going to copy this, and as you can see, this gets pretty repetitive. We're getting the task ID from the URL, which is right here, and then we're instantiating the database object, and then we're calling a query to select all tasks with this ID, with task ID. And we're getting back a single record or a single row, whatever you want to call it, and then it'll give us the name, the description, body. Well, description is body, same thing. The due date, and it'll tell us if it's complete. And then at the bottom we'll have a link to edit task, which you can see right here is the edit task page. So if we save this, reload, we get our task page. If we click on edit task, you can see now we're on the page of edit task. It's blank. So now let's do that. You can see the pattern here. It's pretty much the same. If we go to edit task, actually I'm going to open up ours first. Let's grab this. Now edit task is going to have a form. Alright, so we're going to start out seeing this form, which is going to submit to itself, just like all the other forms we've dealt with. Our values are going to have the result of a database query, which is up here. Select all from tasks where ID equals the task ID. So that'll pre-fill the forms that are with the fields that are in the database. Alright, so, and we also have a checkbox down here that says mark if completed. Alright, so after that form is submitted, it's going to go do this stuff. You can see it says if submitted, then we're going to put all the post variables into regular variables, and we're going to run the update query. We saw update queries quite a few times through the series. We're going to update tasks, and we're going to set the task name, task body, whatever it is that we submitted, and then we're going to of course bind them all and execute. And then we're going to say if database row count, so that means basically if there was an update, it's just going to echo out your task has been updated. So that's how that works. Alright, so if we reload, and it just shows us what's in the database, we can actually change this. Let's change this to give presentations with an S. If we update, it says your task has been updated. So if we go back to work stuff, we should see an S. Oh, I'm not sure what happened there. Give presentations. Oh, the list ID changed to 0. Okay. Let me change that back. So list ID, get ID. Okay, we have to create the other files before we can do that. Alright, so I'm going to close this for now, and I want to put in the add task and add list links. So I'm going to open up my index file, the final index file, and the navigation right here, we're going to say if we're not logged in, we're going to show the register link. If we are logged in, we want to show this add task and add list link. So I'm going to copy this, just this whole unordered list, and open up ours. Paste that in, save that. Now we should have those links. Alright, so now we have add list, which is going to be blank. Okay, so we need to go to pages, new list, pages, new list. Let's copy that. Okay, so basically we just have a form. It's submitting to itself. We just have a list name and a list body, very easy. And those are getting submitted here. And we're also getting the list user, that's the logged in user for this session. And then in the database, we're just going to insert into lists, list name, list body, list user. And then we're binding them in this, binding them there, and then we're executing. And then we're checking to see if it was inserted. If so, it's going to say your list has been created. Okay, so we're going to save that. Now let's do new task. Okay, grab that. And you should have all these files, so if I'm going too fast and you don't know what's going on, just check out the files. Alright, so new task is doing the same thing. We have a form. You can choose the list ID, task body, due date, which is just a date field. Alright, so then up here we're checking to see if it was submitted, and then we're running our database query, our insert query. Save that. Let's see, what else do we got here? Delete list. Very simple delete query. Right? Delete from lists where ID equals ID, and that's going to be the ID that's in the URL. Okay. Save that. Alright, so everything looks good now. If we click on home, we get all our lists. Oh, this is the wrong, this is final. We get our lists. If we click on add list, let's try to add a new one. Let's say fun. This is the fun list. Create. It's been created. We actually have a CSS file that I want to include as well. And that's very simple. Let me just show you. It just gives our errors a red color. It gives some padding and border to list items. Gives some padding to our messages. Simple stuff. So I'll save that. And now we've added that list, so now we should see that home button keeps bringing me to final instead of my tasks, so I gotta check that out, that index page right here. And you see the CSS file, it adds this nice border and padding, so that looks a little better. Okay, so we ended up adding the fun list twice. Now we should be able to delete this with this link. Yep, so now we only have one fun. So if we click on fun, we have no tasks, so let's try to create one. So we'll say, let's just say concert. Okay, we'll give this a date. We'll say Saturday night, create. So now it says your task has been created. Now, ideally, if this was a commercial application or something you were doing for a client, then you might want to handle certain things a little different. Like you might want this to redirect and just little things like that. And I'm just not really going to get into that because I just want you to understand what's going on. I'm not going to, I mean, if this was a production app, it would be a little different. So just wanted to get that out there. So we can check and see that task if we click on the fun list, concert. And you can see our task, our description, which is just we are going to a concert, our due date, and our status. Okay, so we can edit the task if we want. Let's say we already went, then we can mark it complete. Update that. Okay, so now that's been updated. So that's pretty much it, I believe. We can add tasks from this link as well. And the only difference from doing this is we can actually choose our list from this drop down, which is pretty cool. So let's say fun, carnival. I just want to make sure this is all working. Create. Alright, that was created. Let's make sure. Fun, carnival. Alright, cool. Let's delete the list fun, make sure that deletes. Alright, so it looks like everything's working great. So that, I know that's a pretty, it could be a pretty overwhelming project if you're just starting to learn this stuff, but this is really what goes on at the heart of most dynamic websites. PHP, MySQL, and PDO are really powerful together, so you can build some really nice things. So that's it for this section and chapter. In the last chapter, we'll be talking about frameworks.